Whether it makes you laugh, cry, scream, or fly, there's a song for every emotion.
We're Neil and Tracy, and this is the first anniversary episode of Life is in the Lyrics.
Yeah. That was great. Hey, little listeners, you heard right. Mike and I are celebrating our first anniversary.
We sure are. Holy crap. Can you believe we've been doing this for a full year?
And what a year it's been, huh? We've shared, and in my case, overshared like way too much about ourselves over these last 12 months.
Maybe, but hey, little listeners, have you been enlightened? Maybe inspired? Hopefully you've been edutained.
That's my word.
Yes, it is. By our banter and overall gibberish. We've sure as hell covered a lot of topics.
Oh my God, we really have. And boy, it was so much fun reminiscing in last week's episode, wasn't it, Mike?
How much fun?
It was so much fun. But today, we are skipping the usual catch-up BS because we have two very special and very inspiring guests.
Yes, we do. You heard their voices in the intro. Today we have Tracy and Neil Bantleman joining us. Welcome to Life is in the Lyrics, you guys.
Woo!
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to make a little apology for Mike because he's had a really rough day at work, and he's, as you can tell, losing his voice.
My voice is a bit on the
rough side.
Yeah.
So he's got some nice homebrewed ginger tea that he's going to be sipping on, and hopefully he can make it through.
I really wanted it to be a gin and Dubonnet.
It's going to be one after the fact.
Yeah. Well, so Tracy and Neil, it's really great to have you guys here. Tracy, you happy to be here?
Yes, I am. I'm really excited to be here because there was a time when I had talked to Neil about a podcast, and I said a long time ago that Mike would be a great host.
Oh, there you go.
Before you guys even started this podcast.
Well,
All right.
well.
So, Priya, be
It's
nice.
true.
Otherwise, I'm going to be...
You're going to kick me off?
Yeah.
I see it coming. I foreshadow that happening.
Yeah.
Well, listen, in this episode, you're going to hear an incredible and shocking real life story right out of a made for TV doc. And honestly, like their story has been featured on an episode of The Fifth Estate. So it actually is right out of a made for TV documentary. What Neil and Tracy have gone through is literally pulled from the headlines, but you'll also hear about the role music and lyrics played in providing hope, healing, and inspiration. So what do you say, Mike? Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Guys,
you guys
you ready?
ready?
Totally.
You betcha.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, Neil, you and I share, it's got to be 40 years of friendship, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, I know. That means we're really old.
Yeah.
But why don't we share with
Does
our
it
little
though?
listeners? But sorry?
Does it though? Does it mean we're really old?
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we met when we were born. No, well, why don't we share with our little listeners how we know each other?
That was a great question. I was thinking back to how did we meet each other?
I totally
And
remember.
You do?
Yeah. Don't remember
let's
when
see
we
if
first
this is the
met?
same.
Okay, you go
No, let's
first.
see if this. I was a very serious student, and I was looking for somebody equally as serious about education, and I was looking for a math and science tutor. And that's how I came across Mike.
Sorry. Whoa.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
That is
Okay. I
totally
was like,
not it.
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was not it. No, I was looking to skip math, and there was only one person left in the cafeteria, and that was Mike.
That sounds
And that's how we
more
first
accurate.
met. Is that right?
That's very close. I had a spare. I didn't know you were skipping, but we were in the cafeteria, and when we had these other friends, and we used to play euchre, and you and I ended up always being paired together. We were a team, and we played so much that you and I kind of like figured out each other's rhythm, and we had these, I wouldn't say cues, I wouldn't say we cheated, but we did kick some serious ass every game. I think it was third period spare, second period spare.
You cheated.
And you know what I found out later when I moved to Alberta is
What?
that people in Alberta don't play euchre.
Oh, get out of here. Really?
It's an Ontario thing.
Oh my God.
That's how you know a person from Ontario in Alberta. Because if you talk about euchre,
They like,
you know they're from Ontario.
huh.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that was, for me, that was my memory. It was grade 11. We met in the cafeteria. We played euchre. And then we just started hanging out a lot. And we had another friend, Linda, who was the third amigo.
Yeah. I think that grade 11 was when my grade started to slide.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
That's kind of the influence I have on people. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it was coincidence or not.
Yeah. Well, and then, as we got older, and then you moved to Alberta, and then you met Tracy.
Yes,
That is very true.
we met.
How
I
did you?
was working at a private school in Calgary. Tracy was working at a private school in Okotoks, which is just south of Calgary.
Mhm.
And we would do like professional development workshops together.
Oh.
And so we kind of knew each other and talked a little bit. And then I hosted a dance workshop called
Ooh.
the
What?
Rump Shakeout.
Oh yeah.
What?
The Rump,
Rump
Shakeout.
shaker.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Huh.
baby. And she
Yeah.
couldn't resist.
I couldn't
the
resist
moves.
How could
the
you?
moves, or like he was dressed the part for the Continental. Remember, you had that long leather jacket.
Oh my God.
I do.
Yeah,
Are there photos
Yeah.
of
Still
this?
have it.
Oh my God.
They could be.
I could dig some up.
Oh, that would be
possibly, yeah.
so good.
Or could they maybe reenact a little bit of the rump shaking in a video that they could send us after?
Oh yeah.
I feel like we might need to share that.
Oh, we could try
Yeah.
this. We could.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a challenge.
I'll pull out the leather jacket.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So, Tracy, do you remember meeting Mike for the first time?
Now, I'm not exactly sure if this was the first time, but I
Mhm.
do have a really clear memory of Mike at our wedding barbecue
Oh yeah.
in
You-
2007.
You had
and
just delivered Linda's baby.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a crazy day.
Like literally, you had delivered a
and-
baby?
I didn't know.
Not you. I'm not even
No,
looking at you.
Mike.
You-
Oh.
What? What?
No, I was there for the delivery, but I did not deliver.
I see. Okay.
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 which
I
was
don't know
on
what
the
happens
same
in St.
day as our
Catharines.
wedding barbecue.
It's
Mhm.
right.
And Mike came over and kind of missed some of the barbecue, I think, but
Mhm.
was there in time for the opening of the gifts.
Yes.
And he was just like so enthusiastic, lively, fun. I think he made some kind of game out of it.
Probably.
And you were just the life of the party.
Yeah.
As he is.
Yeah. I'm a fun guy. I'm a big
Yeah.
But there were
mushroom.
only like 3
Don't.
people left at the time.
That's true.
Tracy, I remember meeting you for the first time when you and Neil came to visit me in Toronto. And it was kind of cold and wintry. And we went on this walk around Toronto. And I have a photo somewhere I'm going to have to dig out of us. I took a selfie in front of the Brass Rail, the strip club. Do you remember that?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you kind of
The
thinking,
first-
who is this kook? He is just a
oh,
bit.
maybe that was just after we got engaged. That must have been then. Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
possible.
Christmas time.
Pure class, Mike. Pure
it's me.
class.
Yeah, showing them around.
Uh-huh. Showing them all the main sights of
all
Toronto.
my hangouts.
Yeah,
White-
absolutely.
White
I mean,
house.
this is Alberta girl coming to Toronto, and yeah, you made sure I saw it all.
You saw,
Almost
yeah,
all.
almost. I
I didn't go
take you-
into the brass rail.
mhm.
That's
Did
right.
we?
Mm-mm.
No.
I have actually been inside the Brass Rail. That's a story for another day, though.
Okay.
Okay, so I met you both after you had returned to Canada, though we're skipping huge amounts of time here. I mean, and I knew about you both and had been following your ordeal through Mike and the media. And I think then kind of like you guys came to my birthday party, right? It was my birthday at the
Yeah.
Gladstone. And what were we doing other than karaoke? Obviously, Mike.
Mhm.
And I remember Mike saying to me, hey, do you mind if Neil and Tracy come? They're back in Canada and, they haven't been out really. Are you okay with them coming? And I was like, absolutely. If they want to come out, like for sure. So that's the first time I think that I met you guys in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tracy, do you
Yeah,
remember
and
that?
I do.
It's
But
really
yeah, no, your
interesting.
birthday was definitely an interesting evening. I feel like it was the first time we'd kind of seen people celebrating like in a really carefree way, and that hadn't been part of our life. Like we still celebrated birthdays, we still celebrated
Not like you guys,
holidays,
though.
like in very little ways and the ways that we could, but it was never like carefree and light. And so it was like, oh, I felt kind of displaced and out of touch with sort of reality at her party. But
I did have a birthday in prison when Tracy and my mom came to visit.
Oh,
I
yeah.
brought a cake.
Mhm.
It was a
Ah.
special day.
Mm.
We were allowed to sit in like a special visiting area, and all I remember is nobody remembered to bring napkins, so
Uh-huh.
we cut the cake and ate it off of our hands, and then I knocked over a giant coffee,
Oh, Lord.
and then I'm like, I think it's time everybody leaves.
And
Oh.
yeah.
It was a soggy
It was
birthday.
only 40 degrees Celsius too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
yeah.
Whoa.
different kind of celebration.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was no karaoke.
No,
Mm.
no karaoke. Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like now that the term prison has come up and people might be like, what? Wait, what? That's probably a perfect spot to start sharing the story that we've pretty much skipped over. And because this is such an involved story, we're going to give a really like brief overview, but we will include some links online where you can read more about what Tracy and Neil have gone through, as well as the link to the Fifth Estate episode.
Yeah.
So, Mike, do you want to kind of
Sure.
walk everyone through what's going on?
Yeah, so Neil, why don't we do this together? So I'll kick it off. In 2010, you went to teach in Indonesia as a way to combine your loves of travel and teaching. At first, things were great, but then the situation took a turn. Neil, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, well, we were there for 4 years. We were both teaching phys ed, and then I took a new role in like administration. So it was my first year learning the ropes of being in admin, and the year was going fine. And then in March, after March break, one of my colleagues said that there was a big problem at the school, that they'd heard from a parent. There was an accusation that their child had been abused by cleaners at the school. And so school launched an investigation. The FBI was brought in.
Wow.
The local Indonesian police had been brought in, and the accusations were so hard to believe because this campus has like 700 kids on it
Mhm.
and over 150 staff members. So obviously, our approach was, well, what can we do to support the family and the child while the investigation was going on? We're doing everything to support the family and to support the police and be cooperative. And through a lot of different information and advice from lawyers, embassies, what have you, it turned out that the school wouldn't be responsible for the cleaners because they were contracted out.
Mm.
This wasn't an issue until the family wanted to sue the school for 12 million US dollars.
Mhm.
So, after they learned that the school wasn't responsible for the actions of the cleaners, that it would be the cleaning service that was responsible, and things died down for a little bit. Obviously, the school community was in this healing process, also trying to figure out everything that had gone on. And a little bit later on, the mother came back and claimed that teachers had also abused their child, and now they were seeking 126 million US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a phone call
Yeah, it was
the night before the last day of school.
from the head of school, and he said that my name was one of the names that was part of the accused teachers on staff. So,
sorry, Neil, can I just ask you both, hearing that on the phone, what was your initial reaction for both of you?
Yeah, there'd been a lot of crazy stuff that had happened since the first accusations came out with the cleaners, and things just seemed to be getting weirder and weirder as far as, is this really happening to somebody, to this school, and to people that we know? And then I kind of had an inkling for some reason that I was going to become involved in this.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah. And when the head of school called, obviously was in shock. And the hardest part was going back into the room and telling Tracy. I remember sitting on the couch, coming back in, sitting on the couch and just saying, this is the situation. And
I think, of course, like I was in complete shock and my voice like lowered like 10 octaves. I think I scared Neil with my response because I was just like, I think I said something like, how could someone be so like inhumane? Like, because it wasn't true. Like, how could somebody make this kind of accusation just like blindly? Like, where did this come from? And that, I think we were just stunned. And then Neil's like, can you just hold me? I think I was angry, shocked, and just so taken aback because, you know, you're the night before the last day of school, everybody's getting ready to fly out. Your bags are packed. It was supposed to be light and it wasn't.
Usually the joyous time of year, you know, you're having the end of year celebrations, keeping in mind that these accusations had already come out, and
it'd been a very stressful end of the school year for everyone at the school because the whole school felt like they were being accused. Everybody is like, how could something like this possibly happen? And nobody saw anything. Like nobody.
Yeah, Neil.
And the longer that it went on, there was a lot of things that were happening, like I kind of alluded to, that just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot to navigate. Like I said, I was a first-year administrator, so I was looking up to other higher up, like the head of school, the deputy head of school, to guide us. And honestly, I don't think anybody had ever been in this type of situation before. And it was, people were scrambling to try to figure it out and make sense of it. And when you're in a foreign country, there's a whole bunch of other dynamics that come into play that are really hard to navigate.
Yeah, you're not even aware of how things really work until you're in it for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Tracy, you were the driving force for justice for Neil once he was incarcerated, weren't you?
I was definitely, I was in it.
Well,
I stopped being a teacher and started being an advocate, like a media reporter.
You work with like the lawyers, the embassy.
I was everywhere and anywhere you could be in Jakarta that I needed to be to help fight for justice, alongside Ferdi's wife, Siska, and a number of really key people at the school, parents, board members, that kind of thing. And of course, the administration of the school. So yeah, we had a full-time job that was something entirely different.
And this is not only you've taken on, like you this role is been thrust upon you, but you're also dealing with your own kind of shock and anger and all those emotions that go along with, like, your husband all of a sudden being accused of something so heinous and then put in jail over it. And you're trying to, like, I would think.
There was certainly, there was this belief from the very beginning that this would just be all figured out within days because it was so unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that was a very naive thought. I do remember the first day that Neil was incarcerated, that I was able to see him in the prison, and he's just like, get me out of here. And the consular support says to me at that time, it can take up to 2.5 years sometimes for these things to sort out. And I just couldn't believe she would say something like that to me. I mean, it was the truth, but that's not what I needed at that time, nor was it what Neil needed. And it just seemed totally implausible that this was the scenario we were in. And of course it was, but it just was where we were. And there was, at that point, we were doing, we did everything we could all the way through to try to get Neil and Ferdi out and the cleaners, but it took a long time.
Yeah.
It took a long time, and you were told that it could take 2.5 years. How long, in fact, did it take? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2014 is when all the accusations come up, and then he's incarcerated. When does the first trial happen?
So incarcerated, accusations come out March 2014. Then we're accused in around June. Ferdi and I go to the police station for interviews as witnesses at first. We go there twice, and then the third time we go as suspects. And it was one of those nights where we went in later and we interviewed for like hours. And I think it was like, must have been like 2 in the morning. And then they're like, oh, we want to keep them like overnight to question them in the morning. So, and we had like the lawyers there, the embassy officials, school officials were all with us. And then there was really nothing that they could do. And so they all leave. And then shortly after that, they were like, now we're going to arrest you, when there wasn't anybody around. And so that was the time. This was like July
14th.
14th. And we were in the police holding. And that's like, I'm going to go into police detention in Indonesia under these charges. Like the cleaners had already been in. So before this, the cleaners were on a separate case, and 6 of them had been arrested, 5 males and 1 female, and one of them had died in police custody. And they said that he had committed suicide, but it's clear that he had not. And, we learned later on that they had basically had confessions beaten out of them. So we knew going in what had happened to them, and was thinking, Ferdi and I are in for something similar, or in for a fight anyways. So, so we entered, it's called police holding, basically, while you wait for the prosecutor to accept the case and go to trial. So that was July. And then the prosecutors have 90 days to...
Up to 120, I think it was, to like make a case. And they worked hard to make a case.
So it
There's
was like
binders of stuff.
It's like 118 days we stayed in police holding, and then the prosecutors finally accepted the case. And that's when you get transferred to, they call it you fly to the big house, basically. This is where you go to an actual prison to wait and go through trial, which was a scary time as well, right? Like after 118 days, you kind of settle into this police holding, you get to know the routines, people are helping you out, and then you're going somewhere else, and it's like you got to start this process all over again. So that was around...
That was in December.
And then the trial started shortly after that. And it lasted about 3 or 4 months. And it's usually like trials in Indonesia do not last that long. It was a painful 4 months because Ferdi and I were going from this prison to the courthouse, which was about an hour or so away, depending on the traffic. So we'd be transported by, prison vehicles back and forth, and we're going
long
2 or 3 times a week. So, and we kind of knew shortly into it that it wasn't going to go very well. So the lawyers prepared really well. We had a very high profile lawyer who was a parent at the school, who said that he was going to defend us for free because he knew the system. And he warned the school that this is not how it works in Western countries, maybe. This is Indonesia, and I know the system, and you need my help, basically. And we really did in the end.
Well, there ended up being more than one lawyer. It was a team.
Yeah. But there was, some of the team were more like defending businesses and that type of thing, like business aspect of the school. And they really had no idea of like criminal investigations or defending criminals in criminal court. So, so I think the verdict came somewhere around April.
April 2nd.
Early
I
April.
remember these dates.
And both Ferdi and I were convicted to 10-year sentences.
Wow.
And we kind of knew it was coming. So
I had a very small amount of like hope. There was part of me, I think it was more a wish, of course. But at the time I was like, it could happen. It could happen. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat that day, as everybody was in the courtroom, hoping that sense would come to someone.
Right.
Clearly.
I remember getting, and it took hours. Like, I think the
Reading
judges
the
took
verdict
away for like 8 hours. And I was like, you knew where it was going. And then they're like, you have 5 minutes to talk to your lawyer about what you want to do. I remember going up to our lawyer, and my lawyer was named Hotman Paris. I think he's in that Fifth Estate. Is he in the Fifth Estate?
Yeah, he might be in there.
Anyways,
he's a character.
And I looked at him, and he looked at me. He's like, "We're gonna appeal." And I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're gonna appeal." And so said we'd appeal, and that process started where you appeal to the High Court. And I think we got to so we were convicted in December, and then
you were convicted in April.
Oh, sorry, April.
And then August, Independence Day in Indonesia, ironically.
I was found not guilty at the High Court, Ferdi and I.
Right.
So I was released, but I didn't have my passport and had no way of leaving the country. We wanted to. We explored those options, but it wasn't
you were
possible
released,
because
so-
we knew the prosecutor.
So does that mean that
Sorry.
you were released at that time, and does that mean that was the end of your struggles there? Like, you didn't have your passport, but you were released now. You were found not guilty, right?
But there's an appeal to the Supreme Court by the prosecutor. So then we have to counter.
Which we knew it was going to happen, but we also wanted to get out of there before the appeal happened for the prosecutor, because we just wanted to leave, basically.
Yeah.
And
there was no way
it
to
just
do that.
wasn't possible because, like I said, didn't have a passport. If I had a new one issued, then I wouldn't have like the entry stamps in it. So yeah, that wasn't possible.
It's not like the movies.
Yeah.
No.
That doesn't work that way.
So I have a
So
question.
we traveled all across Indonesia. We got as far away from Jakarta as we could. I mean, as far east.
Yeah.
And if I could have swam to a different country, we might have.
Yeah.
Well,
But all those things presented some danger as well.
Right. Why?
Well, it's not very often that you see like foreigners that far out in Indonesia. You know, in the further islands. You could go to East Timor.
East Timor.
But they have an extradition policy with Indonesia. You could go to the Philippines, like rent a boat and go to the Philippines, but there were pirates in the area. And at that time, around that time, there was a Canadian who had been captured by pirates and he was beheaded.
Oh my God.
So that didn't seem like a good option.
And I'm like, for me, both of us to be doing that together, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Neil's
Yeah.
like 6'4". I'm blonde.
Yeah.
I'm tiny. We obviously look like foreigners. I mean, Neil could blend in a bit more. But still, with his height and stature, like he's so, you could pick him out of a crowd in a minute.
We got some advice from some people, and they're like, well, worst case scenario is they shoot you.
Oh my God.
And best case is that you have a bounty on your head and they'll want to bring you in. So none of these options seem like good options.
We just, hung out, found some beautiful fish to look at under the water, and
And we were also told not to worry about it too.
Right.
Because they said we had, advisors that said they're not going to overturn the decision in the Supreme Court. It'll just be that they pass it. You'll still be found not guilty. You can go home.
Mm-hmm.
And we traveled for
about 6 months, maybe all the way through to February, maybe.
Yeah. And then we just landed in Bali. We were going to go to a hotel and Tracy started acting strangely.
I did act strange in the taxi.
Why?
I got an email popped up on my phone from the U.S. ambassador. That was the headline in the news that 2 international school teachers were rearrested and sentenced to 11 years in prison. And I was like, 11? That means this is something new. And I looked at Neil, my heart sunk again. And I told the taxi not to go where we needed to go, and we figured out another plan. And then eventually you really have no option but to sort of walk yourself back to Jakarta. Well, we bought our ticket back, got on a plane with an embassy official, and Neil was met at the airport, and then he went back to prison and I went and stayed with my friends.
Yeah, and there was a certain point where you're responsible for yourself, obviously, and for Tracy, but also Ferdi was already arrested. The cleaners are already serving their sentence. If I did anything that seemed like I was fleeing or leaving the country, that would be looked at as basically an admission of guilt.
Right.
And I didn't want to make things harder for them.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So as hard as that decision was, we didn't really have any choice. We were kind of hoping that Ben Affleck was going to like fly in and
Yeah.
Argo us out of there.
Yeah,
but
there's no Argo.
Yeah.
there's no Argo.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. So there's still so much more to tell about this story, but
Oh, yeah.
you're in Canada. You've been back in Canada for some time now, and we'll get to how that happened. But you haven't really done much media or interviews since coming back to Canada. How does it feel right now about talking about this period of your life that obviously was really, really challenging?
Yeah. At first when we started talking about it to friends, it was kind of somewhat therapeutic, but we didn't want to talk to the media because we realized throughout those years that no matter how well intended the reporters were, there was always something that was inaccurate or
Right.
that misrepresented us or something or some part of the story. And so that was the difficult part. And we started writing about it when we first got home, but it was just kind of brought back more anger and angst, I guess. So, time's gone on. It's been about 6 years since we've been home, and we kind of, obviously we feel comfortable talking to you guys because you're our friends. And so it's different than somebody we don't know that we may or may not trust as much as we do with you guys.
Oh, we appreciate
Yeah,
you
and
sharing
I feel
that.
like talking about it now, though, there's definitely a little heart rate's going up a little.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little more emotion swirling around inside because we don't talk about it very much. Our families don't ask us questions. Our friends, we have a couple friends that'll kind of ask us, ones that we worked with at the school, but it's not a topic that we go back to very often.
Can I ask, is that because, like, is that a choice you have made? Like, have you made it sort of kind of told those people around in your circle that we don't really want to talk about this? Or is it something that they sort of tiptoe around because they don't want to bring up those horrible memories for
Yeah,
you?
I think generally my family, Neil's family, they're the type that like they just don't want to, open an old wound.
Yeah.
They're hoping we're just going to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you been able to move forward? Like, you're saying like it's been 6 years and but yet you're still feeling it all kind of in your pit of your stomach. Like,
Yeah, I think that ebbs and flows for sure. You think that you're making progress. I mean, you're recreating yourself, right? We were educators. That was what we had done for 20 years. That we had no intention of coming back to Canada and trying to figure out some sort of different career. So, yeah, so it's tricky because you still have contact with all your ex-colleagues and they're somewhere else in the world doing what you thought you were going to be doing. So, yeah, you're trying to learn a totally different craft and make your way forward. So some days are hard for sure. Other days are great and you connect with people on a different level, but it's definitely been challenging.
Yeah, we're like solo as a team, if that makes sense. Like we've got support in the wings, people to talk to, but we're really doing it, driving, the bus ourselves in terms of like what we've chosen to do. People keep asking us, would you go back to teaching? Why don't you go back to teaching? Tracy, you could go back to teaching. And it's like, would you like to go back to teaching?
right.
After what happened? Like, I'd like to kind of keep my career. And I think Neil would probably feel the same way, in a positive light for the positive years and the amazing years we had.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to swim around in something that's messy.
Sorry, we were in a situation where we didn't have control. And so even though we've chosen an art business, which kind of seems ridiculous.
Sometimes it does.
At least we're in control. Do you know what I mean? If we have anybody else, we don't have anybody else to blame or nobody to say, this is your fault.
Yeah.
Or can you help us with this? It's on us. So, and that having that independence is, I think, important to both of us after having to rely on so many people to get you out of a situation. And some of those people, as well intended as they were, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what you're doing here? So I don't think we want to put ourselves in that situation. I know that that's extreme,
Yeah.
but yeah, just having that independence to do what we feel like we need to do is important.
Yeah, I was going to say, and to your point, Tracy, about like doing this together solo, it's so understandable because, I mean, how many people do we know have gone through something like this? It's not a common life experience, so people can't relate the way you probably need people to relate if they want to understand why you're making the choices you make. Like the question around why have you not come back to teaching, or why don't you go back to teaching? Okay, well, tell you what, you walk a mile in my shoes from that 5-year period while it was happening and the 6 years since, and then tell me whether you think you would do that. Right? Like
Yeah.
people
I
just can't
appreciate that
relate.
you can kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
that you can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is that, everybody knew us. And
Yeah.
so like teachers, parents, kids, they knew us. If you went back to a new situation here, there's gonna be somebody that's like, why would you hire this guy
Yeah.
who's got this history? I
Yeah.
mean, that's just a fact, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of parents want to protect their kids, the schools want to protect their kids. My old head of school offered us jobs when we got back, and I'm
Mhm.
like, well, what would you say to somebody who came in and said, why did you hire this guy?
Right.
He basically said, I'll just tell him that the accusations were false.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I appreciated that, I didn't want to put that on him either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Even
Yeah.
when we're in our situation that we're in now for collaborating with another business or to do something with the art, we're like, there's always a certain point where like, before we go forward, we should tell you something
Mm-hmm.
because bad medias can be good media, but bad media can be bad media. So we don't want to put anybody in a situation where it causes strain for their situation. We can probably handle it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
we're used to it.
Yeah, you're definitely,
Yeah.
you're used to it. Now, okay, so this is a podcast about lyrics, music, how it relates to our experiences in life. And now that we've got this background into what your experience has been, how about we talk a little bit about how music is connected to this for you?
Although I think though, Mike, like
that would be great. I imagine Priya wants to get back to that.
That was a super long backstory.
No,
Apologies.
I mean, but all very important. But I think we've missed the key part, which is how did you get back to Canada? Like, how did you end up being freed? We forgot that part, guys. That's a big part of the story.
So after the Supreme Court, you do what's called a judicial review. And you have to have like one new piece of evidence that's like compelling. And maybe that's going to free you. Well, that of course didn't work. And then the only choice we really had was to apply for clemency, which in Indonesia, for the longest time means a confession of guilt. But the law had changed within the years Neil was in prison, and it could also mean that it was to uphold justice and the rule of law.
So it's the president's prerogative to review clemency cases where he can see or he's advised that this case wasn't decided on properly.
Right.
And so that was really our only option left. And that's what we did because I didn't want to spend, I'd already been there for
by almost 4 years.
4 years at that time. So, when you serve a sentence in Indonesia, you usually serve half of it and then you go out on parole. But still, that was still some time for me. And I didn't want to be in Indonesia any longer.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't guilty. And there was a case before us where there was a precedent set that this, and he was an Indonesian that applied for clemency, basically just said, I didn't do this. You all know it, and I should be released. And he was released. We didn't use such strong language in our appeal, and we were trying to be very respectful of the system and of the people and of the country. But we still applied for it and got supporting documents together. And it was also helped by government officials in Canada that took up the cause to help us out.
Yeah. And there was definitely at the time, it was when Trudeau was in power. And he and Jacoby got along. And of course, Trudeau was a former teacher and he had had a colleague write him and say, "Hey, have you heard about this Neil Bantleman?"
Mm-hmm.
And he really went to bat for us. He'd had experience abroad. He knew the importance of embassies, people working abroad to better the world, develop community, that kind of thing. And yeah, I think he was a key factor in Neil's release and Homecoming, which ended up being June 22nd,
Yeah.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom Day.
Just in time for the pandemic. Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's just in time for my birthday.
Everything came all at once.
It was 4 days
thanks.
before my birthday. It was my birthday present.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What a great
You're
birthday
welcome.
present.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, yes, I'm sure that people are really keen to kind of understand, why would they want to come on Mike and Priya's podcast? Mike and Priya talk about music and like, what does that have to do with what these two have gone through? So, and I was wondering that myself when Mike told me, that Neil and Tracy would like to be on the podcast. I'm like, oh, why? We talk about like kind of we don't talk about serious stuff. We just talk about like music and like, songs we like to listen to when we work out. And sometimes it's more serious than that, but a lot of times it's really not. So what was it about music and the role music played in everything you went through that made you kind of think, you know what, this would be a good place to kind of give an update and talk about where we're at in our lives now?
Yeah, music is definitely a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely songs that resonated in a certain situation. So that kind of connected us a little bit. We talk about music quite a bit, and there were songs from our past that helped both of us cope during situations, that maybe we were connected to when we first met, and songs of inspiration. There's so many examples of just listening to lyrics. And even if you don't even understand some of the lyrics, it could be the beat of the music that just can either bring you out of some kind of depression, or it can help you release your anger. I mean, you have all these different genres that can do all of that for you. And so that's why I thought it'd be interesting to interweave those kind of two things, like the situation and music. I mean, Tracy and I think have similar but different musical taste too. So some things speak more to Tracy than to me, but I think that definitely connected us too.
Yeah, I think it's more like a conduit to our deepest emotions. Is kind of how I would put it.
Yeah,
I like that.
Definitely a way to connect with your emotions, to understand them, and then that music also connects you to other people who are experiencing a very similar emotion to you, and it just gives you a space to kind of allow yourself to either cry or laugh or remember times that, like Neil said, were really joyous for us. And we needed that a lot to go back a little bit further to a time that before the chaos.
Right.
I mean, for me, I'm the kind of person who doesn't cry publicly. And when I needed to cry, I would listen to music. And that was my little trigger to let me cry. I mean, publicly and in the face of others, one of the things that we agreed upon from the very first day we received that phone call was like to move forward with grace and dignity, not to get overly emotional, angry publicly, because it would impact how people would view us. Mind you, for most Indonesian women, and this is just an observation, to be the sad, crying, weeping woman was more powerful than to be someone who was strong. So that was kind of a surprise, I think, to people locally that this was what I chose to do and how I chose to be. And Neil was certainly that kind of person who held his head high through the entire ordeal. And music for us was definitely could be a private thing for us to allow us to vent or to grieve. Music was a time for us to grieve, listening to songs that resonated in that way anyway.
So Tracy, I'm really curious, because when you say that you had to, put on this appearance of just keeping it together, but you would cry in private and listen to music, were there specific songs that you leaned on? Was there a song that you just heard one day and that became your song? Or how did you sort of find the music that would allow you to release that emotion?
like for me, the really private, personal sort of aspect of things, like I went back to a song once in a while that I remember Neil and I sort of listening to on one of our very first summer vacations together. It was very early on when we started dating, and we were listening to Jack Johnson, Ben Harper, David Gray, Damian Rice, and there was this song that was just so, it was like a really gentle, almost ethereal kind of melody, and the title is The Blower's Daughter. It's actually a soundtrack to a movie. I just realized this, with Jude Law and Julia
Roberts, yeah.
Julia Roberts. Some of the lyrics are like, no love, no glory, no hero in her sky. I can't take my eyes off of you. And then this like line is repeated over and over again. And it was just that, I remember that line resonated with me because it was like, I was so enraptured by Neil. He came into my life at a time when I was going to go in a completely different direction. Like when people say you meet someone and you know, I knew then. And I was just so amazed by Neil and his personality, his kindness, his generosity, his humor, all of those things. I know. But I'm so
hardly.
So this like really gentle melody, and this song really didn't specifically relate if you listen to all the lyrics, but there were lyrics that I made fit for the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what you do, right?
Yeah, we have the lyrics here. And like you said, Tracy, I can't take my eyes off of you. That line is repeated sort of like 6 times in a row. It's almost like a mantra.
Yeah. And it was almost like me saying too, like, I'm not going to give up on you.
Yeah.
I can't take my eyes off of you. Like, I am not giving up. And I will never give up in defending Neil.
Neil, what does it feel like? What did it feel like to have Tracy so committed and unshakable in her will to get you freed?
Yeah, it was quite something. I mean, she had the hard part, I think, because I was just inside, and there's no fighting for your own justice. That's kind of not how it works in Indonesia when you're inside. So Tracy was my conduit to the outside, and I think I told her a couple of times, I'm like, you can leave. Like, I wouldn't hold it against you. Like, this situation is so messed up. It's so hard. I mean, you're dealing with schools and lawyers and embassies and families and everybody.
I went back and forth to the prison like day after day after day.
It's like it was not easy.
Not for 6 months, not for a year, but for years. It's very hard to fathom.
I definitely think there were times where
you wanted me to go at a certain point. You felt nervous.
Yeah, I did say that she should probably leave the country and figure it out. There were other people, but there was nobody as dedicated as Tracy was. And people were like, you're so lucky to have her, because there were other people that would have not had that support. I don't think I would have done a very good job if it was reversed.
You would have.
I just feel like she was so organized and detailed and ferocious. So,
I was
tough.
I was ferocious.
Yeah, something.
Tenacious. That's the word. He's looking for that word.
That's right.
Yeah. One of my favorite words.
So I did feel very fortunate to have such a strong partner, because the alternatives weren't great. You have somebody, like she had mentioned before, somebody that was like falling apart and crying all the time. It's like, I knew that I pretty much didn't have to take care of Tracy. We obviously had our moments where we were supporting each other, but there was a lot of other people that were around us that weren't as involved, that you almost had to manage them a little bit, where it's like, I'm comforting you. You're coming to visit me and I'm comforting you. Come on, man, snap out of it. Help me out here.
So tell us about some of the other songs that helped get you through this.
So on the complete opposite to Tracy's example, my songs were more anger and angst driven. And I could, like, that helped me release, like, if I was inside and I felt trapped and I wanted to like freak out, then music definitely helped. There's a Rage Against the Machine song.
Oh, wow.
And it's called Killing in the Name. And there's just one, I don't know all the lyrics, but I know that there's one lyric or one line that says, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Because people were telling me all the time what I needed to do. I was in prison and you had rules, and to be in your prison cell at certain times, you're expected to pay people and do certain things. And that was one song that I could like release a lot of my anger with.
Yeah, because Neil, he really had to learn how to kind of take his space inside. And like once you're in, you're with everybody who's either innocent or guilty.
Right.
And it's just a new norm. And you've got to figure out how to navigate that. And Neil, I remember you saying you knew that you had to figure that out and do something about it right away versus like kind of seeming meek or vulnerable.
I had a friend that I met in first prison who I met in the second prison, long-term prison, and he gave me that advice. He's like, whatever your routine is, whatever you're used to doing, you need to do it, and you need to take your space, because if you don't take your space, somebody's going to take it from you. And that was like the best advice that I had. Because there were certain times, definitely in the public eye, you had to be calm and courteous and respectful. But once you go inside, it's a complete, not a reversal, but the structure of society inside is very different. And there's definitely a structure. So where there's no respect, you have to earn it. And luckily was able to navigate that society and figure out how to survive. And that's a learning curve. But also getting back to the music part of it, that there's definitely some songs that you kind of relate to that help you garner strength too.
Yeah, and some of our colleagues wrote a song called Free Neil and Ferdi. And it was sort of during, I think that one was during the time of the trial. And it was really like heavy. It had a heavy rock beat.
Yeah.
It was like Free Neil, Free Ferdi, if you know what I mean. You could get into it. And it was like, it was written by a couple of our colleagues, a music teacher, someone else who Neil had worked with. And I think that it was their way of also like voicing their frustration and their surprise and shock and all of that in music. And so, you know, listening to that once in a while, you felt like, especially for like men that were a part of the school, everybody felt vulnerable. Everybody was still in disbelief. And it was just a way to like push that out through music.
Right. And I think you had mentioned too that the community, a lot of the community sort of came together even from the very beginning and sort of were holding daily vigils and came to the school, came to the prison and sang, and that went on every Friday. Had you mentioned that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there was there in particular, there was at the very beginning, it kind of started with two high school girls, and their mom was a substitute teacher at the school, and we knew her quite well, and they decided to write and record a hope song. And it was all about sort of believing that a wrong could be made right, that we wouldn't give up the fight, that we've got this hope. And it was like this song that like wrapped the sort of general emotion of the community into like one big bundle and helped everybody feel like buoyed by the music, the lyrics, and something that they did, you know, of their own volition. These girls were amazing. Like the fact that we had so many students coming to bat for Neil, Ferdi, and the Cleaners, and they knew, you know, even at that really young age, that this wasn't right. And this song followed us right through the case. And it was that thing, that reminder that we do have hope. And that's the one thing you hang on till the very end. And I mean, they came to the prison and sang.
They did.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
That's very brave.
Yeah.
And the fact that, students take time to do these things that mean so much.
Yeah.
Maybe they know that it means so much. I think they did.
They do now. I think that they look back and listen to that song as well.
But to have that support of students that you actually taught, that they're like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas the whole society of adults don't get it, just how crazy it is. It kind of speaks to the innocence of that, but also to the power of it. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Like, there's a really inspiring innocence and naivety in the way they're, you know, living in the world, you know, and to see this injustice happening and to be moved to write a song and then to perform it and to go to the prison and perform it, even like that takes a
that's chutzpah, man.
Yeah, and you know, as adults, we carry so much more baggage, and we're jaded in a way,
and timid. I don't know how many of us would have the guts to do that.
That's
incredible.
inspiring.
Yeah, certainly there were risks, and obviously they were supported by their family as well. But you know, they still made the decision. We had more than one or two students come and do that. We even had remember just now the choir group that came to sing. Like we had a whole choir
Wow.
You know, at one point, I think that was around Christmas one year.
And they came to the
But people
prison?
gave the gift of music. You know,
Yeah.
if they couldn't give anything else, music was a way they
Right.
could give a gift. They could contribute. So
Yeah.
so certainly music made a difference that way.
That is so amazing. Like
Mhm.
that's really that speaks so much to the purpose of this podcast, right? Like, you know, life is in the lyrics. It's like the podcast is really about how music connects people on so many different levels. And that is such a fantastic example of how these people, this is what they could give, and it's a powerful gift to give.
Yeah, absolutely. And if there was ever a song that could be the soundtrack to the Netflix series, it would be this song, and these
Right.
two girls deserve to
Yeah.
sing it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're incredible.
We'll put a link to this song in our podcast episode when it's
Yeah.
published. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
I
Um,
did get permission.
you had two other songs that you sent to us previously. One was I'll Rise by Ben Harper. Can you tell us the significance of that song for you guys?
Yeah, I think somebody had written it in a card that they sent to us, and Tracy had brought it in. And sometimes during visiting hours, we'd go over, you know, all these messages of hope and cards that just say, "We're thinking of you." And I think that poem, the Maya Angelou poem, was in this card. And Tracy's reading it to me, and I'm like, this is familiar.
Mhm.
And then I don't know if it was then or a little bit later on that I realized that Ben Harper had actually sung this poem in a song, and kind of brought us back to when we first met, like years ago. We listened to a lot of Ben Harper, and that was one of the albums that we listened to. So it brought back a connection, you know, happy memories, and also there's strength in the lyrics too.
Mhm.
It's like when you get in a situation that we were in, we didn't get in it, but when we landed in the situation that we're in, the lyrics put on different meanings.
Mhm.
And so this was obviously, it's related to something different, but the lyrics speak to the situation that we were in. Again, it's kind of like you pick lyrics of certain songs and you're like, I can relate to this in my own way,
Mhm.
not the struggle that maybe they were talking about in this in the poem or in the song, but for us, it was definitely relatable.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think there's that one paragraph or one like verse of the song that is, so you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me down in the very dirt, and still like the dust I'll rise. I felt that was something Neil could sing over and over again to gain strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah. And then the other one is a song I think most of us are familiar with by one of the most incredible bands, Coldplay. And the song is Fix You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How did
that
play
song
a
kind
role?
of was like, that one was swirling around close to the time of the clemency. And I think it was like we'd had so many times where the bags were packed, we might be leaving, there could be a decision. Are you ready? You know, you're just exhausted. And there's definitely a line in the first verse when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse. Like it was like, are we ever gonna get a positive decision? Like you started to never believe it was gonna happen. Like you couldn't.
Yeah.
Like even with other things in life, it's actually been a bit of a hangover. Like it's hard to believe that something good might happen.
Right.
And we've had some other struggles since we've been back. And it's like, is this just us?
Right.
Or is this just real life? This is how life goes. But I don't know. Neil, do you want to talk a little bit about it? I can come back to some lyrics.
Just got a good melody too.
It does.
You know,
Yeah.
like that was part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it as well. Like the guitars start coming in and you're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good song all around.
I was thinking
Yeah,
about
and the
that.
tears.
I was thinking about that with because it starts slow, and you know,
Right.
when you try your best but you don't succeed,
You don't succeed.
and then it gets to that
Nice.
part of the song where the guitar goes, and then you know, in the video he's running down the street, and it's like in my image, it's the two of you running towards freedom. That part, you know, it's like
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful melody too. Like
Yeah.
lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix
To
you.
fix you.
And this is where the guitar comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun,
Yeah.
dun.
Like that.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's quite emotional,
it's a
even
good
just
one.
thinking about that song and your situation.
Mhm.
Yeah. The lights will guide you home was like, I felt like the lights on the runway,
Yeah.
Like I was like imagining that moment when we landed in, I don't know where we were going to land actually, but we landed in Toronto and, feeling like that those lyrics were going to be like encapsulate that moment when you met your family again. And when when you realized you were actually in your home country, that it happened, we were home, we were free. And so I was holding on to the song almost as like, what are the words?
I just assumed you thought that we were going to need to be fixed.
So,
which was probably the case.
The song represented possibility and a moment that I knew would probably eventually happen.
Like you had mentioned before, the situation was there's always something that, if you're accused of something, falsely or not, it's still going to hang on, but perhaps there's something that can fix it.
And so let's
you never know, right? There's still a possibility down the road that something comes out of the woodwork that makes sense of this whole thing.
Right.
I mean, there were so many theories as to why it happened, how things got out of control. And there could be a day. There could be a day when someone comes forward and says, I got to say, new information, whatever it is. And we don't know. We don't know if that will ever happen. Will it happen? Do we need it to happen? I don't know. But I mean, you're constantly trying to make peace with what did happen and move forward. Like there was this little phrase in Indonesia. It's called Maju, which is the number 5 and the number 7. So Ma and Ju. It's like some of the Indonesian numbers, but 2 of them together actually mean, when through the sound of the way that they're pronounced, moving forward or to move forward. And we've talked about that a lot. It's just have to keep moving forward. You can't lose your pace or your will or
your balance.
Yeah, your balance, or you fall off your bicycle. That's an Albert Einstein quote or something like that.
Well, this is I think this is an interesting segue into what you guys are doing now. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing now?
We are full-time visual artists. Together. Yeah, we're collaborative artists. So we paint together on the same canvas. Part of our coping during the time, I was taking photos of our previous travels and I was doing line drawings inside. I had met another inmate who became a friend of mine, and he was always doing line drawings. And so I encouraged him to set up an Instagram account, which he didn't know anything about. You could have phones in prison. You weren't supposed to, but you could. Anyway, so I set up an Instagram account for him, and he started connecting with all these people around the world that did this type of sketching. And so he encouraged me to continue to sketch as well. And so I would do these sketches, and when I was done, I'd give them to Tracy, and she would put them on watercolor paper, and then she would watercolor them. And so she would add life to this otherwise kind of black and white pencil drawing or ink drawing. And that was our first collaboration in art. And that kind of gave us a bond and brought us together. And then when we got back, not shortly after COVID hit, and we found ourselves at Tracy's family cabin with not much to do because we had just recently gotten back. We were still in a healing process. And we had come up with all these ideas. Why don't we
roast coffee?
We should be coffee roasters. And then we said, well, why don't we try to paint something bigger now that we have the space to do that and try acrylics on canvas. And so we managed to get some supplies and we painted our first painting together. And
the rest is history. Yeah.
We wondered if it was something that, we could continue to do, or it could be a viable business for us if people would be interested at all, or it could help us tell parts of the story as well and act as a therapy. So that's kind of how we initially got into it.
Yeah, and here we are I think we're in our almost in our 5th year. We're going into our 5th year of being full-time artists.
Wow.
And learning a lot about that. And
what's
and there's so many parts about it that are unpredictable.
Yeah. What is your what's the name of your practice? You want to share that?
Well, together we are Art Trophy because Neil has an atrophy of the eye.
So isn't that clever?
That is a good play on words.
It's hard for people to pronounce. We get that. So now we say Artrophy by Neil and Tracy because artists typically go by their first name and last name. And we haven't really done that intentionally at the beginning because we didn't want to, at the beginning, wrap everything into it. We just wanted to start fresh.
Yeah.
And so now we're kind of starting to weave a bits of the story in, and we'll probably share this, I imagine, on our platform, and hopefully, connect with more people. I mean, art and paintings have a story, and there's a story to the painting, but there's a bigger story behind every painting that we do. Yeah. And I actually spoke with a lady the other day about our artwork, and she's like, I don't understand it completely, but I'm really drawn to your work. And she had lived in Indonesia for a long time. And I said, well, the line work is very indicative of batik, which is a fabric and a special art form in Indonesia. And she's like, right. And then all of a sudden, this conversation kind of exploded. But
And then if they ask you, where did you learn to paint? And I was like, oh, in prison. And they're like,
what?
Yeah, usually it's like the jaw drops.
Yeah,
I did,
And does music have a role in your art? Or what role does music play in your life these days?
We have music on all the time in the studio. And we listen to
CKUA, which is a local Alberta-based radio station, which is publicly funded by all of its listeners. And they have introduced us to
so many new and different artists that I almost feel embarrassed that I didn't know before that actually existed. I thought I knew a lot about music and
mainstream music.
Maybe, I guess it was mainstream. And clearly I do not.
Like who?
So that
who they
is on
introduce
the
you to?
studio all the time. And it does bring sometimes, we get some inspiration from some songs and some lyrics for sure.
And in fact, we just spent a little bit of time in August at the Canmore Folk Festival showing our art, because that is actually sponsored by CKUA. And a lot of the artists we enjoy were there. And so it really felt like building a great community. And then what was great about it for us was that people who listen to CKUA, they're like-minded. They appreciate, handmade original art.
Yeah.
And they're more our clientele. So it's all kind of come together.
I actually painted a painting for one of the artists. His name is Corblund, and he is a southern Alberta artist, and he has a song called "Cows Around." This is very Alberta, obviously. And so I painted a picture that had 2 cows in it, and it's gonna give it to him, but
we sold it just before it. But if we ever get a chance to meet him, he is getting a print.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, my voice is really going, so I don't even know if I can speak anymore.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing this incredible story of yours, and also just sharing with us how the role of music has been so integral to helping you get through those times. Now, where you are here, like, if you could dedicate one song to each other, what would it be and why?
Are you going to go first?
I don't know, you? I think this will be interesting. We talked about this earlier. We never told each other.
Okay.
Do it.
Jack Johnson.
What's the song?
Broke Down.
Oh, well, that is a good one. That was our wedding song.
Yeah, that was our wedding song. Wow. It's like, I'd rather be broke down with you by my side. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that's the song.
Okay, what one did you pick?
There's a Dave Matthews song. You guys familiar with Dave Matthews?
Well, yes.
That's called Steady As You Go.
Yeah, that's another one. Aww.
Both of those songs, the lyrics are about moving forward together, no matter what.
Yeah, people who know us know that we don't spend a lot of time apart for a number of reasons, but we're here to move forward together.
Yeah,
as we've been doing.
Because we have great community, including you two.
Well, we're just happy to give you space to share an update. You're just so inspiring, like, to see that you've made it, not only made it through as a couple, but it feels like, if anything, you are even stronger now as a couple, which is not something that necessarily every couple would be able to go through. I wish you guys could see this, but they just fist bumped each other. I mean, this is such a cool couple. I'm going to take this last question because Mike is struggling to even talk. Poor guy. What advice would you give to somebody who is going through a really tough time, kind of facing like the lowest of the low? What could you say to them that might help them through?
When it's quiet and feeling really quiet, you can hang out there for a little while, but don't like set up camp there. Listen to something that you know is going to lift you up.
Yeah.
Allow yourself the moment to cry, but you don't need to play that song 10 times over. but find music that's going to keep you moving forward, that's going to help you feel uplifted and allow yourself to have those moments of joy and not feel guilty about it. But definitely don't let your life be too quiet. Surround yourself with people, music, laughter, and community. All of those things will definitely help you pull through.
Yeah. Take your space and lean on your family and friends to help you through the situation, but don't go it alone.
Amazing.
Agreed.
Really good advice. Wow, Mike, life really is in the lyrics, isn't it?
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for taking this time. I've learned so much. I was following your case through the entire ordeal, mostly through Mike, but hearing it straight from you both it's astounding what you've gone through and the attitude you both have and the relationship that is visible that we see like on camera between you
That
both.
connection.
The camaraderie, like you're always checking in with one another. It's hashtag relationship goals right here. You guys are inspiring, and it's been an honor to chat with you.
Well, thanks for allowing us the opportunity to come on the Little podcast and share a little bit of our story, our past, and our present. And we really appreciate that you guys were open to having us on and to giving us the space to talk a little bit about us. So thank you guys.
Man.
Yeah, thank you. And even on your first anniversary of your podcast, I would have thought, choose something really light. But,
No, this is
the
great.
positive out of this is that we're at a point where we feel like we are moving forward and we can celebrate some of our achievements in terms of like absolutely switching gears, rebuilding our life and doing it of our own volition. So yeah, we're proud. And we're also proud of you guys because you're doing something completely new. I mean, we used to be teachers. We tell our students all the time, whatever it is you want to do in life, make it happen. And you can switch gears at any moment. You can change careers. You can change direction. And we did that. And we proved to people you can do that.
Just don't choose to be an artist.
says the artist. Well, again, thank you guys so much. It has been such a joy to be doing this podcast with Mike. And it has completely changed my life in so many ways this past year. Just being able to talk about music and the joys and the sorrows and just seeing Mike every week has been total bliss. Maybe not so much for him. Maybe not total. Mostly bliss.
Well, I had to splice this in because at this point in the recording, I had completely lost my voice. That being said, thank you, little listeners, for being a part of the Little podcast this year. Priya and I have had an amazing time recording and sharing our thoughts and our humor with you. And we look forward to many more recordings. Thank you again, Neil and Tracy, for being on the Little podcast. This is us signing off. See you next week.